Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the C&D podcast. This is episode 30, a big one. I
Woo!
am joined, as always, with my co-host, Danny.
Hello. I didn't get the
Danny,
party blowers out.
what?
Yeah, sorry.
Next time. We'll get to 40, because that will probably be me again. No, it will be, because it's 10, it's you, me. Yeah, it will be me.
Maybe
I want to hear party blowers.
because the Doctor Who ones, they might be,
Oh,
might
yeah,
not be.
good point.
It'll be like,
It'll be Phoebe next week.
yeah,
It pretty much was this week.
pretty much.
She's so knowledgeable about it. It's actually impressive. But I digress.
Yeah.
We're getting back into the normal swing of things. I
Craig's
want to
woken
know
up today.
one thing. I have woken up today. Yeah, I was
Sorry.
dead. Head in the doornails. As always, Danny, there's one question I want to ask you when these mystery podcasts come around,
Oh.
and that is, my friend, what do you know about Jack the Ripper?
Ooh. For Jack the Ripper, I know that he
Mhm.
killed people.
That is true. Yep.
And I did actually watch a really good video once where all the killings were like mapped out and all the days, and like it was really good actually.
I saw that a couple of years ago as well. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I don't remember a thing about it.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
sit back, relax, and let me take you back to Victorian London in 1888.
Mm.
Jack the Ripper, an unidentified killer who haunted the streets of Victorian London in 1888. His crimes shocked the public, baffled police, and have inspired over a century of speculation. Today we're going to deep dive into the facts of the case, the victims, the suspects, and some theory / evidence of each case.
Ooh.
So there was 5 victims in total. There's 5 victims that most experts obviously agree that were killed by him.
Yeah.
All were women involved in sex work, living in poverty in Whitechapel, London.
Right.
They were all ladies of the night. I think back then that's what they were called. However,
Yeah.
I will take you back to where it all began. August 31st, 1888, a woman by the name of Mary Ann Nichols, or as she was known by possibly close friends and family, Polly. Mary Ann Nichols, 43 at the time, was last seen alive around 2:30 a.m. by a friend, drunk and trying to earn enough money for a bed to sleep for the night. At approximately 3:40 a.m., a gentleman by the name of Charles Cross found her body on Bucks Row, which is now called Derwent Street in London.
All right.
Her throat had been slit twice, left to right. There was deep cuts to her abdomen, exposing her organs. There was no signs of struggle or robbery. No one knew what happened. There was, like I said, no signs of struggle and robbery.
No.
This one is often seen as the first of Jack Ripper's crime spree.
Yeah.
The police initially thought that it was a robbery gone wrong, until obviously they examined the body, and they found that the deeper wounds, especially in the abdomen and all of the guts and stuff, were kind of hanging out, I guess.
Hmm.
They didn't have much to go on, it was very much a time where, in 1888 London, forensics was just, it was, oh, I've seen him do it. Have you? All right, we'll get him. Like, there was no
Yeah.
fingerprinting, there was no blood analysis, there was no DNA. So it was very hard for the cops to kind of really do anything other than see him in the act. Then, just 9 days later, on September 8th, 1888, Anne Chapman, aged 47, was seen at 5:30 a.m. talking to a man near Hadbury Street. Her body was discovered less than an hour later in the backyard of a house. Again, similar kills, or similar wounds, sorry, as what they found on Mary. Her throat had been slashed deeply, abdomen, again, just brutally opened up. I'm talking guts just like hanging out. But interestingly, the actual uterus had been removed and taken by, supposedly Jack the Ripper,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a weird one. You know what I mean? A bit of a weird one, that one.
Yeah.
Th- some interesting facts on that one, though, is the witnesses described her companion as a man with like a foreign appearance, possibly wearing like a deerstalker hat.
Okay.
And notably, what the coroners and everything kind of noted that the mutilation suggested that there was some atomical knowledge, like maybe they knew about the human body.
Yeah.
So that was kind of speculation that maybe he was in the medical field or something like that. However, there was a letter sent between the second and third one. So between the murders, police and newspapers obviously receiving hundreds of letters claiming to be from Jack the Ripper.
Mm.
As always, most of these things, most are hoaxes, but apparently three of them stood out. Either they were like their content, timing, or just like connection that the letters had in the middle of it. So the first letter, there was three in total. That was the most notable. This one was done just after the killing, but before the third one. They received it on September 27th, 1888, and it was actually published a day before killing number three. So this letter was
Oh.
sent to the Central News Agency, and then obviously it was passed to the police, and it was the first letter to be called or named to the first letter to use the name Jack the Ripper.
Oh, okay. So he named himself then.
Yeah, which I didn't actually know.
Hmm.
It's something I didn't actually realize until like reading up on his case. I thought it was the media. Like media like have like weird names.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it was yeah, it was very interesting to be fair. So I had no idea.
Hmm.
So letter one read. So like I said, this was sent a couple of days before the third murder, but after the second. So it started, dear boss. I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work on the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How they can catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough. I hope. Ha ha. Like it said, ha ha.
Yeah.
The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send it to the police officer, just for a jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work and then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp. I want to get to work right away if I get the chance. Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper.
Wow.
Don't mind me giving the trade name. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all red ink off my hands. Curse it. No luck yet. Just say I'm doctor now. Haha. So he's openly mocking them.
Yeah. That's that's a weird letter. Um.
Reads very much immature, doesn't it?
Yeah. Very taunting. Um. Unlike the other, like the Zodiac killer, like he was. I don't know. He was like trying to have fun with the press, like creating the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah.
Um. Whereas, yeah, this one is just openly mocking them and like taunting them. Uh, which I don't. I don't know. I always find that as a weird thing. Like, I guess to them it's a game, but like, yeah, I don't know. Well, I'd probably keep quiet about it. um, but I guess that's the thrill of the hunt, isn't it? It's like thrill of the chase.
I think that's a lot. That's a lot of them for the. I think that's it for a lot of cases. So
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. Just give away like just enough information to the, yeah. So the next day, the
It's
third
one of
murder.
those things.
You're saying?
Yes. So
Did
the
she?
third murder was. Oh, sorry. What?
Did she have her ears removed?
Why would her ears be removed?
Wasn't that what he says in the letter?
Oh, right. No, sorry. I thought you meant the second one. Sorry. So number three, Elizabeth Stride. She was murdered September 30th, 1888. Again, just one day after the letter was published.
Hmm.
Um, she was aged 44. She was found about 1 a.m. in Dirtfield's yard off Burner Street. She had been seen earlier with a man, but the murder was interrupted, apparently. So, about 7 p.m., she had returned to the lodging house where she was obviously living. She was ready to go out. About 7:30, she left the house. It was raining heavily that night, and the next sighting of her was about 11 o'clock. They saw her kind of shouting away in a doorway. She was in the company of a man who was about 5 foot tall, 5'5", had a black mustache, shady eyelashes, which is I don't know how they're shady, but and was wearing a black morning suit together with a billy coat hat, or sorry, billy cock hat, I should say.
Hmm.
Don't really know what that is, but I assume that's like a top hat, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Um, Apparently they were making out, they were hugging, kissing, and he seemed like a respectably dressed man. The two men that saw them couldn't resist, just they had a joke with them. I think they said something along the lines of "Watch out, that's a leather apron going around you." As obviously, uh, a joke at the time. About 11:45, a labourer who lived just down the road was standing outside of his house when he noticed a man and a woman outside the door next to him.
Hmm.
They He noticed that they were quite sober. He was watching them kiss. A bit weird if he's watching them kiss, but
I don't think. I don't know.
it is though, isn't it? Like,
If they're only a door away, it's not like I don't know. He's not like peeping
yeah, but
in. He's like
no, but I'm just saying,
he's on
if
the
you stand
street.
outside your front door right now, you take a quick glance at what's around, you see them, like, oh, cool, and then you don't just stare at them, like,
Uh, I don't know if he was. I mean, I wasn't there, but
well,
I
no,
can't
okay,
say he was
put
staring.
it this right,
But
yeah,
he
but he stared
noticed
at
them
them long
kissing.
enough to, yeah, but he stared at them long enough to know how tall he was,
Uh,
because he goes on and he says, he's about 5'6", tall, clean shaven, respectably dressed. He wore a small black cutaway coat, dark trousers, and a round cap with a small sailor-like peak. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not a quick glance. That's a stare.
all right.
You get what I mean? It's a bit weird. Anyway, I digress. He noted uh, that the man in question said you would say anything but your prayers. Now, it doesn't really go into what else. Apparently, then they walked off, heading in the direction of the yard where she was found. Um,
Oh.
yeah. So there was another sighting actually. At 12:30 a.m., PC William Smith proceeded along Bergner Street on his route and noticed a man and a woman on the other side of the road to the yard, where Elizabeth Stride's body was later discovered. He noted that the man was approximately 28 years old, with a dark complexion and a small dark mustache. He was about 5'7" tall and had a dark overcoat, a hard felt deerstalker, dark hat, and dark clothing. Over dark clothing, dark probably actually.
Hmm.
The woman who Smith later identified as Olivia Stride had a flower pinned to her jacket. However, the couple were doing nothing that aroused suspicion, so he continued on his way onto Commercial Road. There was also one more. There was like a club just down from it, like it was like a working man's club, which had been there since like 1884. Um,
Hmm.
Morris Eagle had actually left the club around 12:15 to walk his lady home. He returned about 25 minutes to after that. So that would have been like what 25 to 1. Um,
Hmm.
he found the door locked, so obviously he went through the gates to the yard and entered the club via his back door. So he noticed nothing apparently on the ground by the gates as he passed through them. So he can't say sure if the body was there at the time. Um, but she was ultimately found about 1 a.m. So 15 minutes later than he had kind of gone through.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, single deep cut to the neck, but there was no abdominal mutilation. So maybe kind of walked through the yard and he was interrupted. Because 15 minutes, that takes a long time to like. Well, I don't know, does it? Does it take a long time to cut your abdomen open? I don't really know, but
Hmm.
um, but that's why people kind of many believe that no one really can say whether it was there at the time. However,
So she didn't get her ears cut off then.
I was about to say that, yeah. However, she didn't get her ears cut off,
Hmm.
so who's to know? However, that's not the only one. On September 30th, 1888, Catherine Eddowes, 46, was released from police custody, I'm assuming after getting nicked for prostitution, after 1 a.m., and she was found dead in Meteor Square at 1:45, just 45 minutes after Elizabeth Stride.
What, on the
Now,
same day?
yeah, just 45 minutes after.
Wow.
She was discharged from police custody. Um, Apparently, she headed out of the police building, seemingly fine. Apparently, she was singing in a cell, just, ordinarily walking. However, she was found 45 minutes later with a throat cut, abdomen mutilated, left kidney and part of the uterus removed, and her face was mutilated, which unfortunately I accidentally saw
You
while
saw?
researching this. Yeah, there is some pretty graphic shit on JackTheRipper.org. It's
Alright.
actually proper case photos, which I will link you to because I probably know you want to do an audio and a visual thing for this one as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much um, information there'd be about it. Um,
Unfortunately, more than I was willing to look at
okay.
midnight last night when I was researching this. So
Okay.
yeah, um, but no, which is a very interesting fact actually because there was another letter after this one went nowhere. Okay. Obviously, the killer only had minutes to do out the murder, and a piece of her apron was found in Galston Street with a message nearby saying the Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing, which is spelt wrong. It's supposed to say Jews, but it's
Oh,
different. I think it says Jews. It meant Jews because it's spelled Juwes. So that's the only thing I can think of,
yeah.
but I don't know. However, on October 1st, 1888, there was another letter. Well, it was more of a postcard, this one. It read, I was not coddling dear old boss when I gave you the tip. You'll hear about Stacy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. Had not time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got work again. Jack the Ripper. However, there was it went silent for like a good month.
Hmm.
However, on October 16th, 1888, this was sent to George Lust, head of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, along with half of the human kidney preserved in alcohol. So the half of the kidney that Mary Jane Kelly had lost
Yeah.
um, was sent to George.
Oh, wow.
And it says, from hell, Mr. Lusk. Sor, S-O-R, I'm guessing sorry.
Yeah.
I send you half the kidney, spelled Kidne, I took from one woman, preserved it. The grammar on this letter is horrible. For you to
Yeah.
preserved it for you to throw a piece I far from. Huh? Oh, okay. Well, I just realised what it says. I sent you half the kidney I took from one woman, preserved it for you together. I'm sorry, the other piece I fried and ate it. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that I took it out if only you wait a while longer. Signed, Catch Me When You Can, Mr. Lusk.
Who?
Now, the spelling and grammar from the house letter, it is as written. So it's they think it's deliberately poor, perhaps genuine from someone with limited education. Although some do suspect that it's done like that to mislead investigators.
It's just weird though. Like, if a guy has like clear medical expertise, but then it just is, I don't know, can't write. I don't know.
Oh, here's the thing: the other two letters were perfect grammar. This one hadn't been, but then they had the kidney, so it's either
Yeah.
a copycat who didn't have a very good education,
Mm.
or it was purposely done to mislead people.
Also not signed Jack the Ripper either.
It's not. It's spelled Mis Mister Lusk, spelled Mishterlusk.
Right. So yeah, yeah. It just sounds like it's not him then.
Yeah. However,
um,
there was one more. Mary
oh,
Jane Kelly, murdered November 9th, 1888. So, she was the last of the five victims that were confirmed.
yeah.
Um, apparently, she was very popular. She was very popular with people. She was neatly dressed. She was clean. Um, so this one actually, there was a testimony done by Barnett, who was apparently the last person to see her alive.
All right.
Um, so a gentleman named Barnett. So he states that last saw her between 7:30 and 7:45 the night of Thursday before she was found. I was with her about 1 hour. Um, Apparently, she's about 25 years old. She was the youngest and unfortunately one of the most brutally murdered. She was killed indoors in a room at Miller's Court, giving the killer obviously more time to do what he wanted. Possible an appointment at the time, I don't know. However, her throat was cut all the way down to her spine. Her entire body was mutilated beyond recognition. Her organs were removed and placed around the room. This was the only indoor murder, though, which suggests that the killer knew her or she felt safe around him.
Hmm.
And obviously, it was one of the most horrific ones there was.
Yeah. He had time for that one.
Oh yeah, mate, he had plenty of time. Um,
Mm.
Not much. No one really saw or noticed anybody do it. To be honest with you, there was no. Obviously, no one heard anything. Um,
No.
Now, DNA testing on the envelopes and stamps had been attempted, obviously, but results were inconclusive. To the letters, there were some tests done. Um, there were six suspects, though.
Wow.
Yes. So, but that's it. That's all the murders throughout history that we know of Jack the Ripper are. That's it. So it just went. He either died or just retired or whatever. But that's all that is known. Now the suspects. There were six suspects.
Mm.
The first one being John Jewett. He was a barrister and a teacher who drowned shortly after Kelly's murder. He was said to have mental health struggles, and police suspected him at the time. Um,
All right.
Now, the reason for this, the first one being John Druitt. So he was a barrister. He was a teacher. He was from a relatively respectable background. He actually died in the River Thames in December of 1888, shortly after the last murder.
Oh.
He was reportedly dismissed from his teaching job shortly before his death, and some police officers privately suspected him due to the timing of his death and the mental instability that he had, apparently.
Mm.
Although, as with more of this, there's no direct evidence links him to the crimes, which is going to be a common theme. But the timing obviously remains highly suspicious, and obviously the murders after that didn't. It just stopped.
Yeah.
The second one being Aaron Kosminski, a Polish Jewish barber living in Whitechapel. He suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and he was actually institutionalized in 1891. Again, after 2 years after the killings. A senior officer, Sir Robert Anderson, later claimed that Kosminski was positively identified by a witness who refused to testify. As recent as 2014, DNA evidence from a shawl allegedly belonging to Catherine Eddowes was tested and linked to Kosminski. However, the evidence chain is heavily disputed and likely contaminated. But he does remain one of the most credible suspects due to proximity and obviously his mental condition at the time.
Mm.
Number three is Michael Ostrong, a Russian-born physician and career criminal, known for fraud and theft, but with no violent crimes on his record. Included in the 1894 Manhattan Memorandum as a suspect, later found to be in jail in France during the murders, effectively obviously ruling him out. George Chapman, a Polish immigrant, former surgeon's assistant, later convicted of poisoning three wives between 1897 and 1902. I was going to say that would have been a long time, wouldn't it? If he'd alive. Um, he had some medical training and lived in Whitechapel at the time of the Ripper murders. Violent history and misogyny behavior to add suspicion, and apparently Frederick Aberline believed Chapman was the Ripper, but no physical evidence, confirmed this. Five was Walter Sickert, an eccentric British artist who painted themes of death and dissection, claimed by author Patricia Cornwell to be the Ripper, based on handwriting analysis and alleged DNA from envelopes.
Hmm.
However, critics argue that the case against him is based on circumstantial evidence and basically speculative reasons. And finally, a royal.
Oh.
Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence, grandson of Queen Victoria. Some conspiracy theorists claim that he had syphilis and committed the murders during psychotic breaks. Other theories suggest a royal cover-up involving him. Historians agree that he had solid alibis, however, no evidence connects him to the crimes, and he was kind of more of a figure of tabloid legend than any real suspect. But in 2014, like I said, the DNA study claimed to link Kosminski to a piece of Edo's clothing, but again, contamination and stuff like that. Museum opened in 2015. And modern forensics, after reanalyzing the letters and artifacts, have yielded absolutely nothing.
Oh.
So, out of the six suspects, who do you think most likely has a claim to be the Ripper?
Unfortunately, it's probably just the first guy because he conveniently died.
Yeah, literally 2 months after. Well, no, a month after.
Yeah, and that's like the fact that the killings just stopped for no apparent reason. I feel like had he have been caught, he would have bragged about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does it say how he died, or he just fell in the Thames?
Suicide. He jumped in the Thames and croaked it.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, it lines up with the story. Well, it lines up with the timeline, I guess.
I agree. I think I'm with you on that one.
I think the lack of any other evidence is kind of, well, yeah. I think it would have been like the Zodiac Killer, where he was bragging about not being found. I think that would have continued. The letters would have continued. The murders would have continued. So, yeah.
No, I think I'm with you. It's one of those where number one, most cases the suspects are probably the ones that people think are probably not the right ones. But I do think and I feel like that might be the right guy.
Yeah.
The fact it just stops as well, like from people say middle aged, like he had another good 30 odd years.
Yeah.
Like, why is it just stopped? Unless somebody got too close and it freaked him out, but I don't know.
But he seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah.
He seemed to want people to be. He wanted the media to be close, and he wanted the.
It's the game. It was the game, wasn't it?
He was quite clearly happy to like send off body parts, and I mean, if that was him. But then the other letter said he was going to do it as well. So.
Yeah, I think it's all just a one mind game, isn't it? Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Was there anything else after the timeline?
No, that's it.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, that's literally the cold
It
case.
just stops.
Like so I mean, yeah, it just literally stops. No new evidence, nothing.
That's mad. Yeah.
Not even a murder weapon, bro. Like,
no, didn't he? Because he was going to send one, didn't he? And he didn't.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it is and has been for over 120 years now. one of the most mysterious, complex, creepy cases in the UK.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you bring this one up today, actually, because I just rebooted Assassin's Creed Syndicate on the PC.
Oh, right.
I just wanted to see if it still worked, but they have there's a whole DLC about Jack the Ripper.
Who's he in that one? Quickly, I'm
I
actually
only
seen that.
I didn't actually play it, to be fair. I briefly downloaded because I it was sort of as I was coming off the PC and going back to PlayStation when I got it.
Oh, okay.
So I finished the main story and then I didn't finish it, but if I remember correctly, it starts with you investigating the first body, and then like you just get mysteriously attacked by this like person while that's going on.
Jack. Dum.
So yeah, maybe I'll have to boot that up again and have a play.
Yeah, do it. See if there's any
Yeah.
nods to history. Because I know Assassin's Creed. That's the one thing they do well is history.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard it's a really good DLC as well, so it's probably got to be pretty accurate.
However, over 150 years later, the legend of Jack the Ripper endures. Despite modern science and thousands of hours of investigation, his identity remains a mystery. Whether he was a doctor, a madman, or something in between. One thing is certain. His crimes changed the world and left a scar on London that time has never really fully healed.
No.
It's strange. It's intriguing. It's damn right crazy. But as always, let us know. We will be here next week.
Yep.
No, tomorrow. Doctor Who. We'll be see you guys tomorrow with Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, this will go out
tomorrow,
on Friday. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. So we will see you guys tomorrow for episode 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.